We are live, and hey everyone, and welcome to Making a Difference. I was like Protecting Our Lives. There was an old show. So today we have Martin. How do you say your name? If last name, my friend?
Smedjeback.
That's right. And he's come from Sweden. So my name is Tanja Andersen, and we are so ready to really talk in this topic that's called how to be sustainable in animal rights activists year after year. So why I pick Martin as a speaker today is because I get to know Martin for a few years ago, over 3 years or more. And the first time, I think there was that time where I get vegan for the first time. So that is definitely over 4 years. And one thing I really look up to Martin on that point for 4 years ago and have that in our minds since that time, definitely have a chance in his animal activist and who he is and communication. On that point for 4 years ago, what I really like around Martin was when he was doing animal activists, he was really meeting people where they was and really was with a powerful communication instead of, as my own experience, see a lot of animal activists is very judgy around other people's lifestyle, and new change will never happen in negativity, it will never happen in judgments. And that's why I choose Martin, because we really get to, my own meaning, get to turn around how we meet people in our activists as an animal activist or as a nature advocate or you name it. Really get to meet people where they are to really stand for something bigger, and that is with positivity and understanding and be curious why they choose as they do. So that's why I chose Martin, and the topic is so powerful into that, and he will also definitely talk around communication. So welcome Martin to this Mega Different with Martin Smedjeback.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tanja.
So tell us a little bit, who are you? A little bit of backstories around you.
So I will be 50 next year. I've been an activist for, well, almost 20 years. I started in the peace movement, actually, as a staff member of a Swedish, the second biggest Swedish peace organization. Working there for about 7 years with workshops on nonviolence, particularly. And then I got a question to join a bit more direct action and civil disobedience actions. So I worked against the Swedish weapons export for quite many years and did some actions inside weapons factories, which led me to a couple of prison sentences. But then I experienced, or I found out how much animals were suffering. So I decided to switch my focus, although I still believe peace work is very important. I switched focus. So now, since the last 8 years, I've been a full-time animal rights activist and living on donations from people that want to support my work. And now the last year, I've become more active also in the climate issue, working with organizations like Extinction Rebellion, particularly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a little bit about me.
Amazing. So why is this topic so important for you, and why did you choose it, like how to be sustainable in animal activists year after year? Why was this so important for you to talk about?
I think the world really needs more activists, and what I see being active for quite some time is that people come, but they usually don't stay very long. So they come and they go out and maybe go back to other stuff. And often I don't speak to them again, so I'm not sure exactly why they have left, but there could be, of course, a number of reasons. But I would like to see if I can help people to be more sustainable in their activism. And of course, I'm just one person, and what's true for me doesn't have to be true for everyone else, but perhaps I can give some suggestions. I've been thinking about this quite a lot and speaking to others. There are others that are full-time activists as well. Actually, in the climate movement, more and more people come out as full-time activists. We'll see how if they can keep on doing their activism for a long time, but I really hope so. We really need it.
Yeah, and definitely is different reason why people jump off. We know some of the same people, and some of them I have contact with, ask why are they not doing animal activists as when we start like the vegan panel party here in Denmark. And most of them is because they're going down with depression or feels really down in the level. And what I experience is because judgments is one of the keys to us to really destroying life, destroying our own life, destroying our own mindsets, destroying others. And we really get to also focus on, that's why I also pick you, how we communicate to others is also what our ears is hearing and give us that kind of feeling. So if I choose to communicate with a negative judgment to others that choose to eat dead animals, my ears will hear it, and one day I will go down in spiral and get depressions or get sick or get stressed or get on pills. So we will get to focus on how we showing up in our communication. And I'm so blessed by to have you here, so you really can teach from you how we can meet people in our animal activists and hold that sustainable with a powerful and positive mindset. So how do you stay there with a positive mindset in every this cruelty that's happening out there and judgment that is in the animal world?
I think one thing is that we are different as persons, and this we cannot change very much. It's a question of personality. Some people are more hopeful and optimistic. Some are more pessimistic. I think you can change it a little bit, but maybe not a lot. So that's something to realize. I think if you're this and that, and but I think, as you say, how you approach the world, how you approach different people, can make a difference for sure. If you look at people like they haven't yet found what I have found, and also see in your own history, you didn't know that animals were suffering and that you contributed to that. Perhaps there was a time where you were ignorant or maybe didn't want to see what was happening to the animals. And I think by thinking about that, you can develop a more forgiving attitude to people and maybe a bit more hopeful. I was not so special, but I saw this, so other people can potentially do it. And also that it doesn't take just one time of realizing something, it has to be repeated a lot. And another way to see this, as I have learned from others, is that I don't have the power to like pull you over to my side to see it exactly as I see it. I don't have the power. I shouldn't have the power. It is really up to the other person to take those steps. But what I can do is plant seeds. I can give some ideas. I can have a respectful conversation. I can be curious about how that other person thinks and feels. And I think by having that attitude, it becomes easier for me, and it's also more effective, I think, to communicate what you want and what you need and what you think is true in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's up to everyone to choose, because everything is choice. Everything is a choice, and that is up to us to choose what we choose in our lifestyle. And it's so important, as you also say, to know where did you come from, like where did I come from, really like connect with myself, where did I come from before I shift into be a plant-based or vegan person, like choose that in my lifestyle. I choose to eat animals. I know what I did since 2006 in my education. I know what was happening behind doors, where I was not showing up on the media. I choose to eat animals because I wasn't suffering, I was in pain, and that's why a way for me to use pain on myself, to numb myself. And it's so interesting to see, to really go deep. Why do we choose as we do? Because it's going so deep back in our past, and it's going like have so deep root in us. Sometimes we don't know why we choose as we do, and we have the first answer, and the first answer is most of the time is not the answer why we choose as you do.
Mm.
So when I really share my story around why I choose to eat animals, and I know what happened, like I know what is support on that point, and I choose to do it because I was addicted to pain, and there was a way for me to use pain on myself. It comes from many people that is choosing to be vegan as a shock. It's like, yeah, I'm not the only one that is doing that. There's so many people that are also doing that. And we get to meet people where they are and be curious on why do you choose as you do? And the first answer people get is not the answer, because we are wired to answer questions and we have no clue why we choose or why our answer is what it is. So it's very interesting to really like, what I also see here you saying is to be very powerful animal advocates, also to be sustainable is also to knowing like, where do you come from? Like, where is your back since before you shift into be vegan? Powerful.
Yeah, and I'm particularly interested in this because I also studied psychology at university. That was my main subject. And one of the things you realize when you study psychology is that, I mean, we are social beings. That's the core of us. So that means that we are affected so much by what others in our vicinity, the close ones, the friends and families, what they are thinking, and also the major norms in our society, of course. I think that was one of the survival skills, at least when we lived in small groups, like on the savannah, tens of thousands of years. We wouldn't survive if we would be kicked out of a group if we didn't follow the norms. No, and I think this has stayed with us. Now we are more free. I mean, if we don't fit into one group, it's hard, but we can make it, we can survive outside the group because we can find new ones. That's more easier now than ever. But still, we have this fear, we have these limitations we put on ourselves to follow the norm and do what other things and feels. And I think when you realize that, you can be a bit depressed because it's more difficult to reach a goal of animal liberation, because people have this reluctances to change. But it's also hopeful in a way that if we can really realize this, we can deal with that, and also to see, well, if we are, even if it goes slowly, if we are more and more people realizing this and changing our lives, changing our diet, but also being active, there will be a turning point when more and more people are open for change, and the society as a whole will change. And when that happens, it can go very quickly, I think. Like with the issue of homosexuality, that has been a great success, and people, of course, struggling for that a very long time. But still, it took only a few decades of hard work, and now people are so different in how they see homosexuality. Before, it was seen as a moral, disaster. But today it's like, oh, people choose whoever they want to love, and that's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point. It's a good point. So go a little bit back to be curious on, where does this passion for animal activists start, like in your journey to be that?
Well, I think it started when I read a book called Animal Liberation by Peter Singer. I had some interest before that, I think, but I picked up this book in the library. Actually, first time I actually put it back, and I didn't read it when I saw it the first time. Why do you think that is, Tanja? Do you have any guess?
Why you put it to the side?
Yeah, even though I was interested in it.
For myself, when I do that in my own life is because when I have that, like the Bible app on my mobile, that's the first that's coming to me. So I know the Bible app is important for me to go to. And when I open up, it's like, oh, not now, because it's important for me. And when I push to the side, it's because I choose to say I'm not worth it. this is not worth it for me. So I leave myself down on that act when I know it is important for me to do it. So that was the first answer that come to me when you asked me.
Yeah, okay. I think, I mean, it could be many reasons, of course, some I don't know about, but one practical thing was that I still live with my parents, although I had started at university. But I think I was thinking like this, if I remember correctly. If I would read this book, I would totally go vegetarian, and that would be like a problem because my parents didn't eat vegetarian. Then maybe I would have to cook my own food, and that seemed like hard work because I hadn't done that before. So, but when I then moved out, I actually read the book, and that convinced me. So it was a lot of rational arguments that convinced me. Why continue contributing to the suffering when we don't have to? But actually, at that point, I didn't go all the way. I went vegetarian and stopped eating meat, but I still consumed milk products and eggs. Which is a bit strange since I have read how bad it was in the same book. But I think
so your animal activist starts after you read the book. Is that correct? Understand?
No, then I changed my diet, but it took many years before I became vegan, and I think that was because of the norms. I didn't know any vegans at that time. This was like more than 20 years ago. But then I started in the peace movement, and that took all my focus. So and I didn't know any other animal rights activists and so on. It is hard even now, I find, to focus on too wide of a subject of things if you really want to become a good activist, I think. So it makes sense for me to focus. Now I work on peace for a few years, and now I've shifted to animal rights activism. And now I don't work in peace because you have to also keep up the information about the field you're working in, of course, and that takes some energy.
So thank you for sharing. So very short to this question. So what is one of the threats or what is the challenge you're seeing as an animal activist? What is one of the challenges you're seeing for people that want to be it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, again, it's different for different people. Some that I met is really this emotional toll that for them, it's so hard to meet the suffering. And it can affect people so much so that they can't be active, at least for a while, if they have like been close to a slaughterhouse or even inside a slaughterhouse, as we have gone in a few actions. I'm not like that. I think it's hard like everyone else, but I can let it go after a while. I don't get affected as much as some do. So that's different.
Yeah, so it's been about, there's different kind of animal activists, and you out there, if you want to know more around what kind of type there is an animal activist, because there's so many types compared to what Martin is sharing, there's also so much else. There's not like facing the animals, you can do so much else. So please reach out to Martin if you want to know like what is different kind of areas in there, if you can feel you're not the person to experience them. That is also okay. There's nothing right and wrong in animal activists. It's important for you out there to be, if you have the passion and curiosity to know it, please reach out to Martin and he will definitely guide you that way, what is more like in fit for who you are as a personality. Because Martin has been in the area for a long time.
May I add another thing that I think maybe is the biggest challenge or obstacle of all, and that's the norms we have of work and a full-time job, it's such a strong norm in Sweden at least, and I think in most countries. You should have a full-time job, you should earn this and this amount of money.
Yeah, so how do you live by it before we are wrapping up this interview?
Sorry?
How do you live by it before we are ending this interview? Like, how can you live by it?
So I think it's good to see that you don't have to have like a paid job. You can get by on other, or a part-time job or something. You have to have an income, but you can get by. Now I live on donations for a project that I'm doing, so that's one way. But I think you can live on. But it's important to let go of this strong norm that you have to have a full-time job, and to find other solutions, and maybe to live more simply than the middle income.
Yeah,
person.
definitely. There's many solutions. There's also for you, there's to be entrepreneur as I am, to have my own, like earn my own income. So there's so many ways how you could do it as an animal activist, and there's so many solutions. So go out there, be curious, and reach out to Martin. So the last words before we're ending, Martin, what is the last word you want to leave the audience with, if there's something you want to like end this interview with, of a good message or something?
Yeah, I really hope that you can find your way to become active, not only for animals. There are so many important issues in the world. I hope you can do it for others, because there is so much to gain in activism, but also for yourself, because I can find a better way to spend my time working for others or for the bigger issues in the world. It gives meaning that no thing or money can get you. So I really hope that you can find, and please, yeah, talk to others, and share your ideas with me or Tanja or someone else if you want to know more about how this can be possible. And thank you for listening, and yeah, hope we can be in touch.
Thank you, Martin. So to you out there, to your audience on Facebook, and to you that seen this on replay, there's the link to Martin, his bio, all his social media link is to this video. So please go to the video, the text to the video, and there's all Martin's link, information where you can find Martin. So straight after this video, please go and follow him, so you have him, and yeah, send him a message around what did come up to you, aha moments or insight around yourself, or if you're curious, please take action right now, because if you do it tomorrow, 70% of your knowledge is going to waste. So please act right now after this. And on that point, you also choose you are important, because you are important in this world. So thank you so much, Martin, for being here on this show. And I wish you an amazing day, my friend, and also to you out there. Bye, everyone.
Bye.